Hey there folks, welcome back to another video in this Battleship series. In the last video we created the ship and gun objects, the ship object class and the gun object class. The guns obviously are directly related to the ships. So today we're going to create a few more methods revolving around the ship. Namely, we're going to create a select method where we select the ship and move it around. We're also going to create a method that will snap the ship to the grid, and if the ship is not in the grid, it will return the ship back to its default position. And we'll also do a couple other things like rotating the ship. So let's get started. So I think the first method we're going to create is the select ship and move method. So here in my ship object, we're going to find the method select ship and move, and then we just need the stealth function. Selects the ship, moves it according to the mouse position. Alright, so with that one we just need to check one of my attributes for the ship. Do we have a self.active? No, we do not. I just want to create here for our ship. Ship is current selection. Self.active is equal to false. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we created that little function to make sure that this is the current ship that's active. So if we select that ship, self.active becomes true, and on the other ships they're false. So this is the ship that remains active. So select ship and move. So while self.active is equal to true, and say self.rect.center equal to Pygame.mouse.get. Right. The next thing we need to do is we need to then update the game display screen, because we now started a while loop. Update game screen, and game screen will be the automatic pass. Okay. How do we break out of this while loop? To break out of it, we need to put in an event handler. Pygame.event.get for event in Pygame.event.get. If event.type is equal to Pygame.mouse button down, and also if event.button is equal to 1. Right? Then if that's the case, our self.HImageRect.center equal to self.VImageRect.center, which will be equal to self.rect.center. Okay, that's just updating the horizontal image as well as the vertical image into what the current rectangle image is, position is. Great. And the next we need to do is self.active be equal to false. Alright. So we've created that. Now what we need to do is we actually need to create in our main game loop the event.time is equal to Pygame.quit. We're going to go down to our main game loop, and we're going to add an event handler for the mouse button down. So for event, if event.type is equal to Pygame.mouse button down, and if event button is equal to 1. Button is equal to 1. And event of button is equal to 1. We're going to cycle through our 4 ships and player fleet. Ships and player fleet. If that ship .rect .collide point Pygame.mouse.get.pos if ship if it collides with our mouse point, ship.diff will be equal to true, right? And we're going to call Ship.SelectShipAndMove function. What that should do is if I run the code now quickly, we should be able to select a ship and move it around. So if I want to select that one, it's moving around. That seems to be working just fine. If I put it down, it puts down anywhere. That's fantastic, it's working just as intended. If we do one other like the Battleship with the cannons move along with the ship, everything is working exactly as expected. Fantastic. One thing you'll note though is if we've got the ship, if I move it over, it moves on top of that ship, moves on top of that ship, moves on top of that ship, on top of that one, but underneath the rescue boats. Yeah, see, depending on the position of the list, depending on the position of the ship in the ship list, see, like the rescue boat will be on top of all the others. But the battleship, which I think we created first, should be going underneath all of the others. Yeah. So what we want to do is we quickly want to fix that. So when we select the ship, so how it works is it's currently looking at the ship fleet, the player fleet, which is all the list of the ships. The last object of those ships is the last object being drawn to the screen, which means that's the last one. So that's the one on top of everybody else. That's why the rescue ship, which we created last, is on top of all the other ships. When we select the ship, we want to organize the list so that the selected ship is the last object in the ship fleet. Therefore, it will be drawing over all of the other ships. I think to do that, I can't really do it in the ship object, but I think we can do it just as a normal function. So under my create fleet function, I'm just going to create a function called sort fleet. Right. And rearranges the list of ships. Okay. Sort fleet. We actually will need the ship and the ship list. Okay. Sort fleet. So ship list dot list dot remove ship list dot append ship. Simple, straightforward. That should work. We need to call that sort fleet. Do it over here. Sort fleet ship and p fleet. What that should do now is if I select my battleship, it should remain on top of all the other ships when I move it across them now. So on top, on top, on top, on top, on top, on top, on top. If I use the rescue ship, it's on top of all the other ships now. If we call the carrier, it moves on top of all the others. You'll see now one of the issues is I can move the thing. I can put my carrier and place it down on top of my other ships. which is a bit of an issue. We should not be able to do that, but we'll fix that kind shortly. It's not really responsive when I click the first time. Okay, so there's my sword fleet ship. It's done. Right. So my actual ship active is true. Okay, great. So we're moving the ship around per the mouse. That's exactly where we want it to happen. So we're happy with that. Life is good so far. The next function method we want to create is we want to check for collisions before we put the ship down. Okay. So we don't want to be able to place the ship on top of another ship. So underneath my select ship and move, we're going to create another method called define check for collisions self, and we'll pass it the ship list. So we're going to check for collisions. Check to make sure the ship is not colliding with any of the other ships. In this method, we're going to go straight forward. So we're going to create a temporary list here. We're going to say this list is going to be equal to my ship list. In my S list, I'm going to remove my current ship, right? And then we're going to be able to check for item in S list. If item dot collide, item dot rect dot collide rect myself dot rect we can write it that way. Let's flip it around. If self dot rect dot collide rect with item dot rect self dot rect collide rect with item dot rect, return true. Else, if that's not true, return false. Okay. So now we're going to do a check to make sure that our ship collides. So before we call that method, let's just show here as an example. If I select my carrier, I put it on top of my battleship, and I'll click, it will allow me to place it there on top of it. That's not what we want. We don't want that to happen at all. It's a bit of an issue. We shouldn't be able to place the ship on top of each other. So what I'm going to do now is we're pulling this check for collisions. We're doing a check to make sure that it's not colliding with anything. So over here in my select ship and move function, just underneath the mouse button down, I'm going to say right there, if not self.check for collisions, and then p fleet. If not, which means if that method returns a false, then I'll be able to place the ship down. So let's give it a try quickly. So if I pick up the carrier fleet and I try to put it down, oh, it's gone. Right, we ran into an error there. List.remove x is not in the list. S list is equal to S list is equal to ship list. Oh, there we need to say copy. We need to make a copy of the ship list. Otherwise, we're just removing the ship from the items. So if we try it again, we run this in. If we select this battleship, we try and put it down on the other ships. As you can see, it will no longer allow me to place it, which is what we want. Although if I can put it there, I can put it there, but I can't put it there. Okay, so that's step 1 complete. The next collision check we need to do is we need to snap ship to grid. Okay, we've got the select ship and move method. We've got the check for collisions with other ships method. Let's do the method, make sure that the ship is actually in the grid, and if it's not in the grid, then it needs to return to the default position. I'm going to call this one snap to grid edge itself, and we will need the grid with the coordinates, and we will need the ship list, of course. No, we don't need the ship list, that's not necessary, we just need the ship codes. Right, if self dot rect dot top left does not equal what was the default position? Well, if it does not equal the pos, self.pos. Go up to the top here again, you will pos. We're just going to create another attribute, self.pos, and that was equal to pos. Okay, the self.pos is never going to change, that's our default position. Self.pos. Okay, so the self.rect top left does not equal self.pos. So if the left hand side of the ship is greater than the grid, or the right hand side of the ship is less than the grid, right? If that's the case, we need to then default position. So that's obviously a method we haven't created yet. Right, so let's create that method quickly while we're busy with this. Above this method, default return to default position. Right. Ship to its default position. Okay, once we put that, what we can do now. Self.h image self.rect dot top left will be equal to self.pos, and self.h image rect equal to self.b image rect, which is equal to self.rect dot center. Okay, so that returns the ship to default position. Self.return to default position. Okay, while we're carrying on with the return back to our snapshot grid edge method. So that's a snap to grid edge. If the ship is slightly off the edge, we need to call that. So what we actually did, what I did originally, is in the actual game update method, we update the game screen, that's when I called it here, Ship and Keep Sheet. I then called it as a Ship.check. Check for collisions is SnapToGridEdge and Pygame. Self.rect.bottom is greater than coordinates there should be plus 50 plus 50 plus 50. Let's just try that again quickly. Take the ship. That's what we're looking for. Okay, the next method I want to build is, as you can see, I can place it, but it's not sitting properly inside each of the grids. That's not right. It needs to be sitting flush with the grids. And the other thing you'll notice, even though I put it there, it snaps into position, but now that's now the X position. And that's not quite what we were looking for. Alright, so SnapToGridEdge seems to be working just fine. We're happy with that method. Our return to default position method also worked just fine. Draw class Guns is fine. Next method we want to create is snap the ship to the grid cell. So we want the ship to be sitting flush with each of the cells. So within my ship class, I'm going to create another method here. I've got SnapToGridEdge. I'll create one more. I'm going to say different snap to grid. And we'll pass again grid coordinates. Right. So in my SnapToGrid, it's going to be straightforward. So from my x-axis in grid coordinates, for my y-axis in my x-axis. So actually, let's call it better. So for row x in grid coordinates, row x for my column in row x. Alright, let's call it cell. Cell in row x. Cell in row x. If self.rect.left is greater than or equal to cell 0 and self.rect.left is less than cell 0 plus cell size and self.rect.top greater than or equal to cell 1, self.rect.top is less than cell 1 plus cell size. If that's the case, self.rect.top left will be equal to cell 0 cell 1 L1 plus grid cell size minus self dot image dot get 2. Cell size. Right. Then we need to update self.h.center self.image.center to self.direct.center. Now if we take this, we're not calling the function anyway, of course. So let's go to my update game screen for Ship. So just put the snap to grid edge. We'll go to Ship.snapToGrid, and it will be Pygame grid. Okay. Let's take those, push it there. That's what we want to see. So it's in the middle there, almost, not quite. Okay, we're doing this the wrong way around, guys, come on. Okay. Right. So sounds good, 0. Then be equal to cell size minus self image dot get width divided by 2. That I think makes much sense. Goes between the X column there, so if I take the ship and add it there, now it's in the center. There we go. Look at that. That's exactly what we were looking for. And also, if we push it there, it pops up to the right place. And remember now we're checking the top left hand of the image, so as long as the top left hand corner of the square of the image is in one of the cells, that's what we were looking for. Progress is being made. We're getting some progress here. Alright. So the ships are there, the ships are snapping to the grids, the ships are in the right positions, they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing. You cannot place a ship on top of another ship. That was weird. No. Right. As we go along, the next step we need to do is we're going to add the functionality to rotate the ships. The next thing we need to do is we need to do rotation, ship rotation. So in order to do ship rotation, first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up to our attributes for our ships. And under, we've already got it. See, we've already created an attribute called self.rotation, which is set to false. That means the ship is standing vertically. So therefore, the next thing we want to do is create a method and a means to call that method to rotate the ship. Yeah, under SnapToGrid, select ship and move, I'll do it under the select ship and move method. Fun, rotate ship, and we just need the self, and right, switch between vertical and horizontal. Sure, spelling is trouble. Alright. So what we need to do when we rotate the ships, we need to see, first we need to check self.active. If the current ship is active, right? If it's the current ship that is active, and then we want to check if self.active. So if the ship is current, and we also just want to add a little byline here, do rotation. So this is basically like a little bypass argument. So if self.active or do rotation is equal to true, right? If self.rotation is equal to false, change self-rotation to true. Else, self-rotation will be false. Okay, so that's a very simple method. And in this method, we're going to call another method called switch image and rect. So basically, it's just a new method we're quickly going to create. It's a simple method, and it just switches between the horizontal image or the vertical image. So def switch image and rect. Alright, and switches from horizontal to vertical, vice versa. Right, and this one is straightforward. If self.active self.image is equal to self.h image, self.rect equal to self.h image rect, else self.image will be equal to self.v image, self.image self.rect, sorry, will be equal to self.vImage rect. Right. The last thing we need to do, as always, self.hImage rect is equal to center is equal to self.vImage rect plus center, which is equal to self.rect.center. Okay. So error, let's see, error 3962. There, got a color. Right. So I should now be able to swap my ship around. That's what I'm doing. The right click button doesn't do anything yet. If we go down to my main game image, Ship.rect the collide points, Ship.active. If event button is equal to 3, button is equal to 3. Do we want to rotate the ships when it's not being selected? While it's not selected? I don't know about that. Let's not do that. Let's go up to our ship object, and in our method here with the while loop select ship and move, if event button is equal to 1, if event dot button is equal to 3, right, if event button is equal to 3, we're going to say self-touch say self.rotate. Rotate ship. Rotate ship. Okay. If I run this and I hit the right click button, well, I've got a ship selected. So take the ship and I hit right click. My ship rotates. Oh, there's something wrong with my position on my rectangle. Okay, but that's to do with the snap ship, the snap and the ship to grid. Okay, that's no problem. Let's sort that out. But if I pick up the image before the right click doesn't work again, I can't turn it back. That's interesting. Okay, switch image and rect, check for collision, return to default positions, snap to grid edge, snap to grid, and my snap to grid method. Okay, in here we need to make a few adjustments. So this first point here is if the ship is standing vertical, right? So if self.rotation is equal to false, and this is the position of the self.rectangle, else self.rect on top left equal to cell 0 and cell 1 plus cell size minus self image dot get height divided by 2. Right, if I had that correct, that should make all the difference. If I place my ship there, it's still fine. If I rotate it and place it there we go. There we go. No, I still can't rotate. In Dutch, Pygame.draw.rect. Surface will be window, color will be white. 250. The rectangle will be self.rect. And then width will be 1. That's where we've gone on. That shouldn't be active. That should be rotation is equal to true. So we've got our rotation. The next thing we want to do is we want to be able to rotate the ship even if we don't have it selected. We want to be able to do that. So in order to do that, we're going to have to go down to the main game loop, sorry. Over here, go here. If I say Aleph button is equal to 3. We now have to do another loop through the ships and pfleet. Ship.rect.collide point now it's going to get Pygame.mouse.get. Then we would then have to say ship.rotate the ship and true for the rotation because the ship's obviously not an active. Okay, so if I had to place the ship here, right click it without selecting it, I can twist it. If I have a ship next to it, I right click, you see there's a problem. We are do that. So right now we just need to add a function that does not allow us to do the check for rotate collision first. Okay. To do that, we will put it in our ship object. In the ship object, we check for collisions. I will create a new one. Diff check for rotate collisions, and we'll pass also the ship list, the fleet parameter. Okay. So this is pretty much the same as what we did with the check the previous one. The reason why we created the rect V and a vertical image and a horizontal image is precisely for this, so we don't have to do the calculations all over again. It's already there. So check for rotate collisions. So we're going to do something check to make sure the ship is not going to collide with the ship before rotating. Alright, so we're just going to create do before and into a copy of our ship list. Copy. Right. Then from our S list, we're going to remove self and remove the ship and the current ship from that list. We're going to go for ship in S list. If self.rotation is equal to true, meaning that it's vertical, but that it's horizontal. If self-rotation is true, if self.v image rate dot collide rate with ship.rate return true. Else self.h image rate collide rate ship.rate true. Else return false. Alright, so what we've basically done there is we're checking to make sure that the horizontal image or the vertical image, if the current ship is vertically placed, we're checking to make sure that the horizontal, the ship placed horizontally is not going to collide with any of the ships. If it does collide, it won't allow us to do this. So check for rotate collisions. So under my rotate ship, is self.active or do rotation is equal to true. Right. If self.check for collisions, check for rotate collisions, fleet equal to false. Then you can do all of that. What's going on now? Line number 99. Why am I forgetting the code? Anyway, if we run this again, so I have my ship, place it there, place my battleship there. I should not be able to rotate it. So I'm clicking and it won't rotate, but if I move it one away, I can rotate. I can rotate, I can rotate. It's working, it seems to be working. I can pick up my ship, rotate. It's not allowing me to, all my ship is active and I've picked it up. I can't do a rotate here because it will connect with another ship. That is not quite what I want. Rotation. And not ship, but check for rotation to collisions. Back to my check for rotate collisions. Where's my rotate? Where's my rotation function? This one, yeah, if I take that one out. Alright. Just fix this again. So now I should be able to rotate the ship. I shouldn't be able to rotate it here, which seems to be working. So if I put this and this together, I shouldn't be able to rotate them. I'm not able to, but if I pick up my ship and rotate, I can, but I can't place it. That's what I wanted. Alright, can't place it down, place it down there, like that. What's the other object? Can't place it. Okay, that's fine. So I want to test. Well, let's put that ship there. Now try to place the ship. See, it won't let me. Okay, the rotate function seems to be working too. That is fantastic. So we're making progress here, guys. We're making good progress. There's one thing I don't know if you guys have noticed. I've been avoiding it for quite a while now. Okay, there's two things I need to do. So yes, the snap back to default position. You'll notice that while it's horizontal, it won't snap back to position because then it will collide with the submarine. And the other thing that I don't know if you guys noticed, if I rotate my battleship, all of the guns are in the middle. They've all changed position. If we look at the submarine, that might actually show space. No, not really. Cruiser. Yeah, the cannons will go into the middle. So we just need to update that as well, fix that function. And then I think we're done with the ships and the guns overall. So we're happy with our ship default rotate ship function, we're happy with our select ship and move function. Check for collisions, check for rotate collisions. Yeah, but our return to default position. Our return to default position. I think we're going to just include one thing. We're just going to put in a check to see if the ship is rotated. We need to rotate it back to normal. So included in this method here, which is say if self rotation is equal to true, we will then need to self.rotate ship, and we'll need it to rotate no matter what. So we'll say true to do rotation, and that should allow us to return. So if we had this ship on there and it was rotated, oh yeah, right, so then we wanted to put it there. So it's doing the rotation automatically. As soon as it's off the screen, it does the rotation. I'm fine with that. Alright, so that's solved that problem. So if we ever run into an issue, it's very quick. Can't beat it. Very quick, and it goes through like that. So that's fine. The next thing, the last thing we want to fix quickly is the cannons, the ship guns. We need to correct them for when the ship rotates. They need to be corrected as well. So order to do that, we need to go to our ship guns. So we can actually minimize now the ship class down to our guns function at class, and so we're going to create a method firstly. We're going to call it rotate guns. Okay, and we're going to pass it the ship. Right. Rotate the guns in relation to the direction of the mouse. Okay. From now, we're just going to say pass, because that's actually the next step for the cannons for them to rotate according to the mouse. In my update method for the guns, right? We're first going to take a look at if Ship.Rotation is equal to false, then that's what we're going to look at. Else self.rect.center will be equal to Ship.rect.center y, no, x, plus Ship.image.get width divided by 2 multiplied by negative self-offset. Right. And then Ship.rect center y. So that should deal with the rotation of the ships and the guns. So we'll take our battleship, we'll put it there, we'll rotate it, we crash, line 170, Ship.rect.center x plus, let's use some brackets there. So we'll try again, put the battleship, right click, and the guns have rotated. Would you look at that, people? Fantastic. Bring up the cruiser, rotate it. There we go. Okay, while we're busy with the guns, let's do handle the rotation of the cannons to follow the mouse cursor. Because it looks cool. That's all I'm going to say. So in this method, we're going to say direction is equal to Pygame.mouse. Direction is equal to Pygame.math.vector2 Pygame.mouse.getPos minus Pygame.math.vector2 self.rect.center. So that's our direction, radius, angle equal to direction dot A is polar. Right. If not ship dot rotation, if ship rotation is equal to false, if self dot so rotate guns. Okay, well, while we're busy with it, I'm just going to create a little helper function method, because we're going to duplicate a lot of code right now. So we're just going to call this update image. Right. And we're going to say self.image be equal to, okay, that's why we did that. Alright, so we've got, over here we've got our image. So just before we go ahead, because when we do a rotation of our images, if you constantly transform and rotate an image, you lose a lot of detail on the image itself. So back in my guns, the original image, I'm going to call this original image, and I'm going to convert it. I'm going to make a self.image. It's going to be equal to self.image. Yeah. So therefore, self.image will then be updated to onion.transform rotate self.original image and negative for the angle, right? And we will pass it the angle. Pass it to this helper method, right? And the next line of this helper method, we're going to say self.rect equal to self.image dot get rect, and the center will be equal to the self.rect dot center. Alright, so that's my little helper method. Come back down to my RotateGuns. If self.rect dot center y is right, so we've got the RotateGuns. So in my regular guns update image over here, we're going to perform that's the helper image, helper method. We got my update method right above my rotation. We're just going to call self.RotateGuns, and we'll pass it to ship. Great. So that should handle the cannons on the ships rotating. Let's play our game and see that it's working. And if you look at the cannons on the guns, they seem to be moving, and they locked it halfway, which is what we wanted. So they rotate to halfway point following the mouse, and once you go past the halfway point, then the bottom cannon will take over. And if we bring the ship up to the middle here and we rotate it, oh, it seems to be rotating the full circle. The left ones are working, but the right cannons are doing the full circle. So why are the cannons on the right doing the full circle? Okay, so it should not be or, it should be and. So now when you look at it, bring this ship up here and rotate it. Shift on the right, shift on the left, and we are sorted. And that just about does it for our guns. So the guns are fully made, fully sorted. The ship class, I think, has also now been fully created. So we've fully created the ship, we have fully created the cannons on the ships, we've been able to move the ships, we've placed the ships on the grid, we can rotate the ships no longer collide, the ships place themselves within the grid correctly. We are done with the ship class, as far as I can tell. So if we run this, we end up with our 2 game grids, and we have our ships on the screen. Alright, I think that will call it a day for this video. I think in the next few videos, next few turns, we will create a few other items. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in